Have you ever experienced a moment that feels like the world pauses? A single glance, a single misstep, and suddenly everything is different. That's where I found myself. The worst part. I still don't know if I wish it had never happened, or if I'm secretly thankful it did. Welcome to Silent Quill Diaries. It began on an ordinary Tuesday, the kind of day so dull it felt as though it barely held itself together. The sky was a blanket of lifeless gray, swollen with clouds that threatened rain yet refused to release it. I stood at the living room window longer than usual, watching branches whip under a restless wind. Something in the atmosphere carried weight, a stillness that crawled across my skin. The house made its usual complaints, timbers shifting, echoing storms from years gone by. Normally I found those noises comforting, but that day, each groan felt unnerving. Couldn't explain why. Climbing the stairs, I felt each step grow heavier, as if something unseen resisted me. The hallway was cloaked in dimness, a suffocating silence that pressed against my ribs. That was when I noticed his door slightly ajar. Ethan's room. He was my tenant, 23, quiet, respectful, and content to keep to himself. As for me, Lauren, 47, twice divorced, long past the age of expecting surprises from life. His door being open wasn't unusual, but that day it seemed different. It felt like a summons or a warning. I told myself I'd simply push it shut and carry on. Yet my feet carried me closer. My hand tightened on the railing as though bracing myself for something I couldn't name. At the threshold I hesitated. My lungs caught halfway to breath. Slowly I nudged the door open. The hinges whispered as the gap widened. Ethan was sitting on his bed, laptop balanced across his knees, the bluish glow of the screen cutting sharp lines across his face. I assumed he was gaming or maybe streaming something trivial, until a flicker in the window's reflection snagged my attention. Not direct. Just enough for me to understand in one instant what he was watching. My pulse stumbled. My stomach dropped. I should have pulled the door closed immediately. I should have spared myself. But I didn't. I froze. Not out of curiosity but disbelief. Then his eyes lifted and collided with mine. The panic in his gaze was unmistakable. His hands scrambled, slamming the laptop shut. The silence between us imploded, heavy and unyielding. I thought you were out, he stuttered, barely audible. I didn't reply. I simply stepped back, closing the door softly, as though shutting it could erase what I'd seen. Downstairs, my fingers dug into the counter's edge until my knuckles burned white. My chest hammered, each thud bruising against my ribs. Why hadn't I knocked? Why hadn't he locked the door? And worst of all, why had something deep inside me stirred? It wasn't desire. Not yet. But it was dangerous. For 3 days we barely spoke. Words shrank into necessity. The silence stretched taut between us like a wire ready to snap. We moved through the same rooms, plates clinking faintly at dinner, footsteps creaking on the stairs, yet our eyes avoided one another. Then one evening, as I pushed my plate away, he cleared his throat. Lauren. I looked up, guarded. About the other day. His voice cracked. I didn't mean for you to see that. I didn't even know you were home. Sorry. I don't want it to change the way you think of me. His face carried shame, but layered beneath it was something else. Something unspoken. I exhaled slowly. Ethan, we've all had moments we'd rather bury. Trust me, I've lived through worse. The corners of his mouth twitched. For the first time in days, I saw a trace of relief. To ease the tension, I told him a story from my 20s, an embarrassing memory that still made me cringe. He laughed genuinely. It was soft, unguarded, a small break in the wall between us. But then his expression shifted. The air thickened again. I guess we're even now, he said. My brow lifted. Even. He swallowed hard. I've seen you before. Not on purpose at first. But after that, I didn't look away. My chest constricted. I should have been furious. Instead, my mind fractured into 1,000 dangerous directions. What do you mean? I asked, though part of me already understood. His gaze didn't waver. His cheeks burned pink, but his eyes held steady. Because I think about you more than I should. And after what happened, I can't keep pretending. The silence that followed wasn't brittle anymore. Pulsed with heat, waiting. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Not when the truth clawed its way up inside me. That I hadn't stopped thinking about it either. That I'd lingered at the door. That I hadn't turned away instantly. My heartbeat thundered, tangled between morality and temptation. I told myself it was nothing, that it would fade. But deep down I knew something had shifted. Something irreversible. That night, lying awake, I replayed it all. His voice, his gaze, the way my name had sounded in his mouth. And the next morning when I caught him looking at me again, not by accident this time, I didn't look away.